I've been in recruitment for almost 15 years, and in 2024, we are going to see a lot of changes to the job market. In today's video, I'm going to highlight 7 changes that are most likely to impact workers. Let's go. Now, the first massive change that I want to highlight is a cooling job market. So if you look at Indeed's job index, which tracks the amount of postings all across the world, it's one of the most reliable metrics because they aggregate jobs from all over the place. It is down 22.5% over peak 2021 numbers. So over the course of that 2-year period, there has been a pretty significant decline in just the amount of jobs that are posted and the amount of jobs that are out there for people. So as we look in 2024, there will be less. That looks to continue to trend ever so slightly in the same direction it's been. Less postings. What does this mean for you as a candidate? Well, if you're a candidate, if you're looking to make a job, obviously it is going to make things much more competitive. There are more candidates for fewer jobs, meaning the job market is going to be a lot more competitive and you're going to have to stand out to get that opportunity. If you're not seated for this one, you might want to take a seat. The second big trend is goodbye remote work. Now, it's not going to go everywhere entirely. There are still plenty of companies who have found a nice mix with hybrid. There are still companies who are thrilled to keep remote work the way they are operating, but 90% of all companies have a plan to bring people back into the office to some degree in 2024. So it's pretty universal. Most companies are looking to bring people back in, and there's a variety of reasons this is happening. Some companies cite productivity. There is about $800 billion of workspace that is going to be losing value over the next 6 years. That those numbers were thrown out there by CNN, that companies are going to be losing a collective $800 billion in value from corporate office space in major cities by 2030. So that's a significant driver. It is harder to lead people, at least for some managers. So there are a lot of things driving this decision. But that is certainly something we've seen momentum of as more and more companies are pulling their people back. We've seen big companies do this, like Meta, like Google, and tons of companies are doing this. So we should see that continue to trend that way. Now, part of this is because it is a more competitive candidate market, right? Employers have more power. There are less jobs, there are more people, therefore individual candidates have less negotiation power when it comes to bargaining to be away from work, being remote. So because of that and because of the way things are trending, there will be less remote opportunity available, making those jobs where they do have more remote options even more competitive. I read a stat this year that 50% of all job applicants on LinkedIn were to remote roles. So those roles are incredibly competitive. Now, this is a huge one. Baby boomers are retiring. So every single day in 2024, 12,000 baby boomers will retire. So that's up from 10,000 from 2023. So what you're seeing is more and more baby boomers exiting the job market. So what does that mean for you? Well, the roles they are inhabiting are going to be open. So even though there are less job postings, the job market is still pretty tight. So it's an interesting balance between there being less jobs, but there still not being the workforce needed. So it's this weird state of flux, but with more people who are at higher level exiting the workforce, it should create more opportunity for those of us who are still looking to work, still looking to be in the job market. But it's an incredibly interesting dynamic. It is the highest rate ever in a single year that we will see a generation exit the workforce. One of the more interesting shifts to me is people are leaving their field. So I'm going to pop this right up here, but as you can see, these are the percentages of people who are looking to leave their field and move into a different field based on clicks on job ads. So look at the top 4. 3 of the top 4 are actually engineers, with industrial engineers, IT engineers. Really interesting, electrical engineers. So seeing these people leave their field or have a desire to leave their field is going to make the market really dynamic in those fields. You know, if you're an electrical engineer and you're not looking to leave your field, but more and more of your peers are, it should make you more in demand. In addition to these people leaving their fields, you're also seeing some fields with less people going in. So nursing, teaching, and accounting are 3 industries in which people are just not pursuing it as they used to, creating further strain on those companies who need to hire those people. So the Great Resignation is over, but people are still quitting their jobs. In September, the quit rate was at 2.3%. Now that is lower than the last couple of years, but if you go back to 2019, that's about where it was, and that's still the highest in 20 years. So we're not seeing the great resignation numbers and people leaving their jobs in droves as they did in 2020, 2021, and into 2022. You were still seeing a pretty high number of people who are moving out of jobs and leaving and causing that churn where people have to be replaced. So it's another interesting number to see that lower than it has been, but still historically very high. Now, one of the more disappointing trends you're going to see is a continued slow on wage growth. Now, according to Forbes, peak wage growth occurred in January of 2021. It was at 9.4%. So that's pretty significant. That is a pretty big increase, and that's part of what led to people moving around as much. There were certainly increases to be had when you could leave, go to another job, and see a significant increase in compensation. And it was kind of one of those things that had a domino effect. But as of October in 2023, for the year, we're at 4.2%. So we've seen a pretty sharp decline in wage growth, and they anticipate that continuing to 2024. One of the major trends you're going to see is AI. AI is continuing to be more and more prevalent. Now, specifically in job postings, in October, it was in 0.06% of all job postings. And now some of you are thinking, Ben, that's like nothing. That's barely a blip on the radar. However, if you compare that to January of 2023, so just 10 months prior, it was actually 1/20th of that. So the number has grown by 20 times what it was just in the course of 10 months. So that's pretty significant. If you consider what that would be in any other field, right? You have a term in a job description, fast forward 10 months, and across all job postings, it's mentioned 20 times more than it was previously. That is pretty significant. So you'll see it being a considerable part of new roles as we continue to have it be more commonplace, more acceptably used in work, and more people get experience with it. You're going to see the need for AI competency included in more and more job descriptions, and that is going to be a huge trend for 2024. Now, what can you do with all these things that I've shared with you? One of the things you can still do is be the best candidate possible and stand out in your interview if you're looking for a new job. So I made this video here. This video here is 5 secrets that all job seekers should know. I just told you a bunch of facts, but I bet you want to know the secrets. So I'll see you over there.